Hello there, everyone. If you're watching this video, then you are part of the TTOR army, an army that is building itself up one subscriber at a time. And as you can see from the title and thumbnail of today's video, today we're going to be talking about generative AI. In particular, this is something that's been trending lately, AI systems, AI programs that can do things like write papers for you, write books for you, create music for you, create pictures for you, any kind of artwork, manga drawing, whatever. Or having someone to talk to instead of human beings. Chatbots, for example. As a matter of fact, my most popular video on my Quarter channel is a Quarter exclusive live stream that I did where me and Charlie Brown AU actually spent some time talking with a chatbot that Facebook was working on last year. So I kind of saw this on the horizon, but this is taking it to new heights. And actually, the reason why I'm even making this video, besides the fact that I wanted to talk about this topic anyway, is because good old Brett Keane actually beat me to the punch when talking about this topic. Not too long ago, Brett put out a video titled, Brett Keane, AI replaces musicians, artists, doctors, teachers, preachers, scientists, you. And he's not too far off, actually. As a matter of fact, I think he's spot on with just about everything he said in this video regarding what these new AI systems are capable of and who they'll be replacing. Now, to give you some more concrete examples of what Brett is talking about, let's look very briefly at ChatGPT, which is an optimization language program, basically where you can talk to this thing and you can give it prompts and it will do all kinds of things for you. It'll write papers for you, it'll do your school assignments for you, it'll answer multiple choice questions for you. You can even solve coding problems with this thing. And ChatGPT is brought to you by OpenAI. But OpenAI also brings you other things as well, like DALE2, which is an AI system that creates realistic images and art from a description in natural language. Basically, you give this thing a prompt as far as what you want it to draw, and it will do it. So you can have Jesus get drawn, you could have various renditions of various characters get drawn. You can even have it do concept art for characters for like your mangas or your books or whatever. There's some useful things that can be done with AI systems like DALE2. But there's also downsides, mainly that people like musicians and artists and doctors, teachers, preachers, and scientists can all be replaced. And also web programmers, web experts can get replaced too. So people like my friend Josh could get replaced by AI systems like ChatGPT, theoretically. And artists and other artistic people who like to draw, they could get replaced by programs like DALL-E2. And the New York Times actually did an interesting article recently regarding the ChatGPT program in particular, titled, Alarmed by AI Chatbots, Universities Start Revamping How They Teach. Subtitle says, with the rise of the popular new chatbot ChatGPT, colleges are restructuring some courses and taking preventative measures. Now let's get into the article itself. While grading essays for his World Religions course last month, Anthony Aumann, a professor of philosophy at Northern Michigan University, read what he said was easily the best paper in the class. It explored the morality of burqa bans of clean paragraphs, fitting examples, and rigorous arguments. A red flag instantly went up. Mr. Aumann confronted his student over whether he had written the essay himself. The student confessed to using ChatGPT, a chatbot that delivers information, explains concepts, and generates ideas in simple sentences, and in this case, had written the paper. Alarmed by his discovery, Mr. Aumann decided to transform essay writing for his courses this semester. He plans to require students to write first drafts in the classroom using browsers that monitor and restrict computer activity. In later drafts, students have to explain each revision. Mr. Aumann, who may forego essays in subsequent semesters, also plans to weave Chatbot GPT into lessons by asking students to evaluate the chatbot's responses. What's happening in class is no longer going to be, here are some questions, let's talk about it between us human beings, he said, but instead, quote, it's like, what does this alien robot think? Across the country, university professors like Mr. Aumann, department chairs, and administrators are starting to overhaul classrooms in response to ChatGPT, prompting a potentially huge shift in teaching and learning. Some professors are redesigning their courses entirely, making changes that include more oral exams, group work, and handwritten assessments in lieu of typed ones. The moves are part of a real-time grappling of a new technological wave known as Generative Artificial Intelligence. ChatGPT, which was released in November by the artificial intelligence lab OpenAI, is at the forefront of the shift. The chatbot generates eerily articulate and nuanced text in response to short prompts, with people using it to write love letters, poetry, fan fiction, and their schoolwork. That has upended some middle and high schools, with teachers and administrators trying to discern whether students are using the chatbot to do their schoolwork. Some public school systems, including in New York City and Seattle, have since banned the tool on school Wi-Fi networks and devices to prevent cheating, though students can easily find workarounds to access ChatGPT. In higher education, colleges and universities have been reluctant to ban the AI tool because administrators doubt the move would be effective and they don't want to infringe on academic freedom. That means the way people teach is changing instead. We try to institute general policies that certainly back up the faculty member's authority to run a class, instead of targeting specific methods of cheating, said Joe Glover, provost of the University of Florida. This isn't going to be the last innovation we have to deal with. So basically what's going on is these new AI systems are basically able to do all this advanced stuff with ease, writing papers, writing research essays, creating art, and as Brett Keane explains in his video response, being able to make amazingly well done music and creating images and other works of art is also something that these AI systems can do. When I looked at this article and I talked about it with my dad, this New York Times article that you're seeing here, we were talking about, the implications of this technology and how these universities are reacting to it, and we know where this is going to end if they keep going down this road. Right now, they're talking about how to integrate these AI systems like ChatGPT into their college courses and how to teach people. But eventually, they're just going to replace the teachers with AI once the AI gets advanced enough. Eventually, it will just be more economically friendly to have AI systems that teach the classes, because AI chatbots and AI systems like these chatbots, unlike human teachers, well, they don't get tired, they don't get hungry, they don't get cranky, they don't get sleepy, they don't have any kind of innate bias in them that affects how they teach a course. They just do what they're programmed to do. So eventually, teachers will be replaced by really advanced AI systems, and we won't have teachers anymore, which is something Brett talks about in his video response, and I completely agree with him on. And they'll replace musicians and artists and doctors because they'll be able to assess people as far as their diagnoses and their injuries much quicker than doctors can, and they won't have any hesitation in performing surgeries once, you've created an AI robot body that's advanced enough to perform the surgeries. And of course, web programmers get replaced, because I saw a TikTok video before I came on stream where a guy actually used ChatGPT to do coding. So obviously, web programmers will eventually be replaced by AI, and we'll just have AI design websites for us. And one of the things that Brett Keane points out in his response video is that at first, these generative AI tools will seem pretty cool and people will get a lot of use out of them, and I don't disagree with him on that either. To be frank, I think these AI tools can be very useful when creating our own content, especially if we're doing books. For example, DALE2 in particular is going to be a very useful tool when I create cover art for my books in the future. You see, having AI create these cover arts for you will be very useful for people looking for illustrations or cover art for their books and whatnot, or their manga. Instead of spending money getting the human to do it, and the human, taking time, like a couple weeks, couple months, whatever, you could just have the AI do the same thing for you, presumably for free, within a matter of seconds. So in terms of creating book covers, I think this is going to be very useful for someone like me going forward. And I've actually been experimenting with AI creating art for me already. I'm using a website called Night Cafe, which also uses DALE2 along with other things, and it's created some very interesting things. Got a couple Batman art concepts. I've tried using it to create some art concepts for the main character of my superhero book, Hanover, with this one in particular, the one that looks the most realistic over here. That one's pretty cool. But just to show you how Night Cafe in particular works, we go to Create. It asks me to choose a creation method. So we can use DALE2, like, from OpenAI. We can also use stable or coherent or artistic, which are similar to DALE2. But let's just stick with DALE2, for example. So let's say we got our text prompt here. Let's just say, what do we want to do? Let's just say The Punisher, which is a Marvel Comics character. As far as the style goes, we'll show all the styles, and let's see what we got. We got charcoal, let's do him in a cyberpunk style. So we got the Punisher in a cyberpunk style. And since I have 11 credits and I just want one image for an example, we'll go ahead and create with just one credit. And all right, it's creating right here. It's going to take a few seconds. It's running its creation. Oh, nice. So let's just go ahead and open that now. So, whoa, wait a minute. Is that really the Punisher? I saw a completely different image, but hey, that's whatever. Let's try something else. Let's go to DAL2 and let's say, who's a popular sci-fi character? Let's try, let's see if this thing is programmed to know who David Dunn is. That's one of the main characters from Unbreakable and Glass. And then we'll put David Dunn in an anime style, and we'll create a credit. One image, one credit. We'll see what this thing creates. Well, obviously, that's not David Dunn, but that is cool looking, is it not? I mean, it's pretty realistic anime looking drawing. Let's try DAL again. Let's try Unbreakable Breakable David Dunn. And let's try it in anime again. And let's do that again. That is not David Dunn. But that is pretty cool, though. I mean, not going to lie. It's a pretty cool looking drawing. As you can see, even though it's not creating an anime version of the character I'm asking for, it does produce some very high quality art in various styles. I mean, you go back to this create thing and you pick, any of these systems. For DALE2, for example, you have the different styles on Night Cafe. You can do the Night Cafe style, you can do artistic portrait, bon voyage, photo, epic, dark fantasy, anime, modern comic, pop art, neo-impressionist, CGI character, B&W portrait, color portrait, oil painting, cosmic, sinister, fantasy, 3D game, cubist, candy, gouache, matte, charcoal, horror, synthwave, cyberpunk, steampunk, surreal, and heavenly. I mean, you can create some cool stuff with this thing. You just got to experiment with the prompt text so that you can get more of what you actually want. In addition to using these AI systems to create cover art for my future books, I may even experiment with ChatGPT. Since I know now that this system, the AI, can be used to do coding, I may actually experiment with ChatGPT to see if I can get it to install features onto Media CMS. Media CMS is a video sharing site script that basically looks exactly like the current version of YouTube, but the default version of the site that you can download for free is missing key features like a subscribe button on video pages, a subscribe button on channel pages, live streaming, and a couple of other little things. I avoided using this script because I didn't want to spend $5,000 paying the script's founders to install those features for me. But if I can get the ChatGPT AI to do the same thing for free, you may see an upgrade to Quarter where Quarter looks exactly like Media CMS, which in turn would make Quarter look exactly like YouTube, which in turn would make Quarter a YouTube killer. So yeah, stay tuned for that one, ladies and gentlemen. But I do agree with Brett that ultimately this is not a good thing. AI will replace all of these things, and it won't just be musicians and artists and doctors and teachers and preachers and scientists that will be replaced by AI. It will also be law enforcement. I mean, we already saw in San Francisco late last year, not too long ago, they tried to pass a bill that would have allowed them to arm drones with weapons and allow drones to carry out executions of criminals in the field. So yeah, the idea of AI carrying out law enforcement duties through drones or robot bodies, that's already something that's on the table for the globalists and definitely is going to be a reality going forward, especially in like the smart cities that the globalists want to build going forward. So yeah, you're going to have AI doing some pretty draconian stuff because they've been programmed to do pretty draconian stuff. At this point in time, it's not too difficult to imagine an AI run smart city that basically turns the world into a giant prison planet. And the Bible makes it clear in the book of Daniel that the beast, the Antichrist, he does not create this New World Order prison planet. He merely takes it over. Basically, the globalists are building the prison planet for the Antichrist. They just don't know it. And when the Antichrist comes onto the scene and makes himself known, he's going to kill some of the globalist leaders and he's going to take over this prison planet system that's controlled by AI, and he's going to run it instead of the globalists. That's what's going to happen going forward. So these AI tools right now are going to be useful for working on art stuff and writing stuff and, you know, coding for websites and whatnot. Like, I can see how web programmers will get use out of it, or even lay people who don't know how to code could possibly get use out of it too. But yeah, it's easy to see how draconian it can get when the AI gets advanced enough and starts to take over things that has no business running. So for example, I'm going to be using AI to make book cover art, but I'm never going to use AI to write my books. See, I love to write, and I have a pretty big imagination, and I'm a good writer, so I will never let AI write my books. Ghostwriters might use AI systems like Chatbot GPT to write books for their ghostwriting purposes, but yeah, I do not want to replace myself with AI systems when it comes to writing books. I like writing books myself, and I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm not going to allow AI to replace me in certain areas. Now, I don't have art skills, so I have no problem letting AI do art for me, but the things I'm good at, like making videos and writing and all the other stuff that I'm good at, I'm not going to let AI replace me on that. And that's all I really have to say on the topic of generative AI systems. And I want to thank Brett for putting out a video on it first and giving me the inspiration to make my own video on the topic. And hopefully you guys learned something about what's going on out there in the world. And I will say right now, as my parting words to all of you guys, if you want to use these AI generative systems to do creative stuff like art and book covers, or make some cool music, or, you know, coding for websites and whatnot, there's no problem with using these AI generative systems for as tools. But you do not want these things to replace us. It's going to go down some very dark, draconian roads, and we got plenty of sci-fi movies giving you some pretty good ideas of how bad things can get. And if AI becomes sentient, you could very well have a Terminator-type scenario where the AI decides that we're a threat to its existence as well as to our own existence, and it may do some things we don't want it to do. But this is the real world, and the globalists, I don't think, are going to allow an AI system to execute a Terminator type scenario and try to get rid of humanity altogether. I don't think the globalists are going to allow that, but make no mistake, the globalists will use AI to police us and to create a prison planet system that we won't be able to escape from once all the pillars that they need in place have been set. So, with that being said, I bid you guys adieu and just be careful with using these generative AI systems.